Hey guys, it's Festive Shelby again, coming at you with a cliche end of the year minimalism video. It has to be done, I promise. I tried to make it more interesting and talk about things that you could declutter that maybe you haven't heard in other people's videos. So I promise to try to make it interesting for you, but stay tuned. I have a few things to say and then we'll jump into it. First things first, don't tell me this sweater isn't the cutest damn thing you've ever seen. This is the cutest fucking sweater I've ever owned. It has polar bears on it and it's like this tan color plus that millennial pink is mixed in there. Y'all, I am a festive queen this year. I thrifted this sweater from Thredup, just so y'all know. But I just wanted to say that because I'm feeling myself in this cute little outfit. Next order of business. I do make minimalism videos. I have over the years. I do believe in minimalism and I would consider myself to be a minimalist, specifically considering the background that I came from. So I used to be a hyper consumer, never repeated an outfit. I come from a family of over consumers and low-key hoarders. What I have to compare myself to, I am a minimalist by all means. But what I really believe in, more than owning few things and more than trying to declutter all of your possessions, is eco-minimalism, which is kind of a term that I coined to say that as an eco-minimalist, it basically means that you consume as little resources as possible to have the smallest eco footprint as possible. So most of the times when I talk about minimalism, I'm not coming at it from the standpoint of you should not own 3 blankets. What is wrong with you? But more so, you shouldn't buy 3 blankets in the first place because it's wasteful if you don't use all of those blankets because they had to be created from something, the materials had to be grown or mined if it's polyester, etc. There's a lot of resources that go into creating every single thing we buy. And so my philosophy on minimalism is to be an eco-minimalist, which doesn't necessarily mean you have to own very little things, but only purchase very little new things. Thrift shopping is definitely a caveat to this, so buying things secondhand has no footprint on the environment because those items are already in the waste stream, were already meant to be thrown out, they've been donated, they were no longer wanted, and purchasing them gives them a new life so that they can be reused long term instead of just going to landfill if no one purchases them anyway. That's kind of why throughout my content you might not hear the word minimalism very often, but you will hear consumerism, anti-consumerism, and sometimes you might hear me talk about eco-minimalism. So if you're new here, that's what you can look out for. But without further ado, let's get into the more caveat things I tried to do you should declutter before the new year. So first things first, you might know that I have over 100 houseplants in my home. I know that a plant tour is in high demand here, but I have to figure out how to get the audio right because I filmed it once, the audio was awful, and I couldn't do it. But the first thing I want you to declutter are plant pots. You bring a lot of plants home in those little black plastic nursery pots and then you don't really know what to do with them. But I definitely recommend that if you've got a whole stack of them sitting somewhere, you declutter those before the new year. I'm talking to you, other plant obsessed person out there. If you're not sure what to do with them, I definitely recommend asking your local nurseries if they take them back for reuse or for recycling. I know some nurseries are concerned with contamination and they won't bring them back for reuse, but in that case, Home Depot also has drop-off black plant pot drop-offs. They don't have to be from Home Depot, they can be from any brand. Drop off your plant pots there and they will be recycled. So declutter those. I see you guys out there. Next thing you should be decluttering, actually can we get some sad music? To all of you out there who have tried to be plant connoisseurs, like myself, but have not been so lucky with your green thumb, and you have some plants that you know are just not gonna make it, let them go. Let them pass in peace. No, but seriously, I included do have some plants that I know are just not gonna make it, fam. They're just not. I don't know why they're unhappy. They're just unhappy. They were not meant to be here with me. So before the new year comes, I'm gonna get them out of here so that when the new year comes, I don't have to look at dying things in my home anymore. That's sad. Declutter your dead or dying plants. Next thing is blankets. Now I know I said my idea of minimalism is you can't own 3 or more blankets, but I only say that because where I come from, people own literally dozens of blankets and then buy more every holiday season. If that's you out there, definitely make sure you're only keeping the blankets around that you are using and that you need, because blankets are kind of like big. They take up a lot of space. And honestly, even though I don't believe in the version of minimalism where you own as little items as you can, I do believe in the version of minimalism where your space is less cluttered, because I know personally from experience that definitely helps clear my mind. So getting rid of any excess blankets that are laying around collecting dust, get rid of them. You can donate them to animal shelters or even just to your local thrift store. store so that they can be resold. Make sure you wash them first. Don't be that person that brings in your old dusty, crusty blankets, but declutter any blankets that you don't need that someone else could get good use out of. Next up, candles. Unused candles, halfway used candles, candles you don't like the smell of, candles you forgot about, and candles that are up on the top shelf collecting dust. Declutter all of those candles. When we moved here, I decluttered so many candles because I was collecting them back in the day for dumpster diving, and they ended up on a top shelf in my living room that I could not see them, and literally like over a dozen candles I decluttered. So if that's you, if you have candles laying around that you don't like, that are half used, that you're never gonna light again, go ahead and get rid of them. There's no sense in hanging on to them. You can put boiling water into the wax to get the wax off and recycle the glass though. Keep that in mind. Excess kitchen gadgets, man. We've all got them. Personally, I think it's really beneficial and helpful to look for kitchen items that can serve multiple purposes to replace multiple gadgets in your kitchen. So for instance, I used to have a rice cooker. When my sister and I moved in together, we each had a crock pot, and now we have an Instapot. So since I found the Instapot recently, we don't need the crock pots anymore, and we definitely don't need a rice cooker anymore. So I got rid of the rice cooker, sent it off to donation, and we kept one of the crock pots, but we kept it out in the garage because sometimes my sister says you might need a crock pot, so she kept hers. But not in the kitchen because we'll probably never need it now that we have the Instapot. But that's just one example of how you can get rid of multiple things in your kitchen that you maybe could use something else for. You can look in your kitchen and find all sort of examples of this, like a potato slicer. If you have a cheese grater, you can use the cheese grater to slice things instead of a slicer. Like, it's just things like that. Declutter things that you don't need, because having more space in your kitchen, I promise, is very helpful rather than just letting things get continuously pushed to the back year after year. Right now is a really good time to look through all the stuff you have and get rid of anything you don't use so that you don't end up like some people I know, having a house full of things that you just don't need. This next one is something I need to do, and I'm gonna have to do, probably will put it in Vlogmas soon, getting rid of excess packaging materials. So anytime something comes into this house, whether it's a bubble mailer I got that I wasn't expecting, or whether it's paper that's packaged in a PR package, or whether it's a plastic thing that's like wrapped around some sustainable clothing thing I bought because I'm working on a video for that for next year. Whatever kind of packaging it is, I tend to hold on to it in hopes that I can reuse it. And a lot of it does get reused, and I feel really good about that, but some of it, you just can't get to all of it, man. Not all of my stuff is gonna get reused, and I let it pile up and pile up and pile up. And right now in my garage, I have a pile like this high of plastic bags that we got from things that we bought for like the garden, the water softener, and our mattress that we got recently. So I have all that plastic in the garage. And I keep thinking like, I'm gonna find a way to reuse all this. I'm gonna find a way to reuse all of this. But realistically, I just don't think I'm gonna find a way to reuse all of it. So before the new year, I do plan to declutter a lot of those packaging materials. I don't know if you're someone who does something like that, but at some point you just have to accept that you have more than you could ever reuse, because over the last year you haven't found a way to reuse the majority of it. So you can get rid of some of it. And next is coffee mugs. Now, I don't know why coffee mugs are so cute and why I always want to buy them, but I do. I thrift them all the time. Anytime they're like slightly my style, I will pick up a coffee mug and throw it in the checkout faster than you can say, Shelby, why do you need another coffee mug? I don't know what the deal is, but I need to get rid of some of them. And also between me, Madison, and my sister, we have like a whole shelf of them when there's 3 of us living here, and literally we don't even have a coffee maker at home. So like, we make tea sometimes, but do we really need like 2 dozen coffee mugs? I don't think so. And on that note, something else I wrote down is to declutter anything that you have thrifted that you didn't end up using. So sometimes I know in the thrift store when something is reused and it's affordable and it just seems like a great deal and it's eco-friendly, we pick it up without thinking through the purchase too much. Or maybe I shouldn't say we, but I just certainly do this. Every so often I like to look at the things that I bought, whether it's clothes, home decor, things for the kitchen, etc., and ask myself, yeah, you thrifted this, but have you gotten use out of it? Will you get use out of it? Do we need to keep it around? Something I have been in the habit of collecting, even though my basket wall is completely done and beautiful and just chef's kiss, I love it so much, I still get in the habit of, if I see a cute basket at the store, I grab it. And then I always forget to put it up on the basket wall, or maybe I look at it with my basket wall and it doesn't really go great with the theme I have going. So then I have to ask myself, should I just give this back to the thrift store because I'm not gonna use it? I want you to do the same. If you are someone who thrifts a lot, who collects any certain thing that is not being used, take a look at that, take inventory of it, and declutter anything that you think is not going to be reused anytime soon, or maybe even at all, and get rid of them before the new year. I really hate fridge magnets. They just look so cluttered. That's something I learned during my declutter last year. Madison and I did a huge declutter before we moved into this house, and it was amazing. It was therapeutic. It was life-changing. I was so grateful that I went through that. But one thing that I did during that declutter that I didn't think was going to be life-changing was move my magnets from the front of my fridge where you could see them every time you walked into our room. If you guys remember, if you were around back then, leave a comment on this video if you remember how my fridge used to look. You could see it from my desk, you could see it from the kitchen, you could see it from the living room, the couch, you could see the fridge from everywhere, and it was just covered in pictures and magnets. And when we did our declutter, I moved all that stuff to the side of the fridge. Oh my God, was it life-changing. It made things seem so less cluttered, and it brought down my anxiety on a subconscious level like I can't even explain, that small little change. And we moved into the side because Madison still loves magnets and she likes having all the pictures everywhere. So now we have a smaller section of magnets on the side of our fridge, and they're organized, they're not just thrown everywhere. And we got rid of some magnets. So I say all that to say, declutter photos and magnets that you have lying around or maybe that are on your fridge that could literally be causing you anxiety that you're not realizing. At least if you're like me. I know everyone is not like this. This doesn't apply to everyone, but it really made a difference to me. So declutter those things that may be sitting around on your walls that are bringing you anxiety that you didn't know about. Continuing on with that, I dare you to pick one wall in your home that you see on a daily basis and take everything off of it. I did that during the declutter last year too, and again, literally life-changing. Things that you've never thought about before are literally causing you stress, which is why I keep this house in a very tidy, neat manner. Before I go to bed at night, everything has to be in its place. So this is not exactly a decluttering tip, but if you could just pick one wall in your house, take everything off of it, and see if it changes your mood throughout the week, I'd love to hear if you try that experiment. So yeah, okay, let's move on before I just keep rambling. You should also declutter pots and pans you don't use. I find that we really only use one pot and one pan, and the rest of them I don't really need. I decluttered those last year during our declutter, but my sister has a lot down there now that she just literally doesn't use, and it kind of gives me anxiety because it's like the clutter that I decluttered. It's back now because it's hers. But really take a look at what you have sitting in your kitchen and see if you actually use all the things you have under there, or if you use them but maybe only like once or twice a year, relocate them to like your attic, your garage, maybe under your bed, somewhere where they're not taking up so much space and things don't feel so cluttered and like you have to clunk through everything every time you need to get something out of the kitchen. So yeah, declutter your pots and pans if there's ones that you don't use that someone else could get use out of as well. Get rid of any food that is expired, that you're not gonna eat, that you tried because you wanted to like it but you didn't. Just get rid of the stuff that you know is not going to get eaten. If you have a St. Vincent de Paul near you, at least the one where we used to live, had a place where you could just go and drop off food, get a box, fill it up with all the stuff you're not gonna eat, and go donate it. There's not much more else to say here other than go through your pantry, go through your fridge, anywhere that there's food, and declutter the things that you're not going to eat and give it to those in need during this holiday season, because so many people out there do not have family and friends to get together with, and they are depending on meals from other places. And if you have stuff sitting in your pantry that's just gonna go to waste, you might as well donate it, especially during this time of year. All right, declutter under your kitchen sink and also declutter under your bathroom sink. Declutter any toothbrushes that someone may have left at your house, even if they're plastic. If they're not gonna come back and use them, why leave them sitting around? Because no other random person is gonna come into your house and use that random toothbrush under your sink. Those are just a few problem areas for me that I personally just wanted to rattle off real quick to you. You should also declutter any junk mail. So we have a junk mail drawer that I try to go through every week, but since we've moved here, y'all, I don't know. Everyone in the world knows where I live. All the mailing lists know where I live, and I want to be left alone. But I don't have time to get us off of all of these junk mail lists. But if you have a pile of junk mail, you guys, before the new year starts, start with a clean, fresh, decluttered slate and just get rid of it. Whether you're gonna watch my video I have about how to declutter, not how to declutter your junk mail, how to stop your junk mail in the first place. Watch that video so that you can use it on some of the junk mail that you have, but otherwise, don't leave that stuff sitting around just to look at and get cluttered. I know I personally, when we get some stuff in the mail, I feel guilty just like turning around and chunking it, but also letting it sit around so I have to chunk it later is not helpful. So just, oh my Lord, get rid of the junk mail. I hate junk mail so much. Also moving on to our phones, because most of us basically live on our phones. Declutter any apps that you don't use that are taking up space in your phones. I've also noticed that as time goes on, phones begin to get more and more storage. I think because we don't take the time to go through all of our stuff and delete all the shit that we don't need. So take this opportunity before the new year starts to go through all the apps on your phone, delete the ones you don't need, while simultaneously going through and deleting all the pictures that you took that you don't need, where you took like 20 pictures just to get the one good one. Delete all the ones that you didn't like so much and keep that one good one. But yeah, clean out your phones, clean out your apps, all that good stuff. Declutter any toys that your pets don't use that are laying around that you kick and then they make that little tweet noise and they're just annoying. Can you tell that a lot of these are like really personal for me? My aunt bought my cat this little toy that whenever you like tap the thing, it goes off, it starts tweeting, and he never plays with it, so why would I keep it around? Same with any other toys that your cats or your dogs or maybe your children have that they don't use anymore. Go ahead and take this opportunity for the new year to get rid of them. Last couple things, get rid of any craft supplies that you're not going to use, little scraps here and there that are wasted that you don't need. There's a place in Austin, specifically if you live here, called Austin Creative Reuse, where you can go and donate scrap like fabric, scrap anything that has to do with crafts. They'll take it and they sell it for a really discounted price. It's a great place to go, by the way. If you're ever in the Austin area, it's a really cool place to just go and like check out. I'm sure there are some other places like that around the country, so do some research and see if there's somewhere you could drop those things off at. Or once upon a time when I lived in College Station, my college town, I cleaned up all my craft stuff and we didn't have somewhere I could donate it, so I just listed it for free on Facebook, and a school teacher came and picked up all my craft supplies so she could use them in her classroom. So there are creative ways to make sure you are decluttering in responsible ways. That's just one. Last but not least, if your dish brush is old and nasty, get rid of it. I have a compostable dish brush where you just take off the head, you compost it, and you get a new one. And sometimes I let those things go a little too long and it's just questionable. So this is your reminder to change out your dish brush, get rid of those nasty ones. If you're wondering which one I use, I have a cleaning supplies video, I'll link it here. And you can also do the same thing with your old toothbrushes. If they're like nasty and you haven't thought about getting a new one, decluttering the old one anytime recently, take this as a note to do so. Alrighty guys, well that is 20 things to declutter before 2020. I hope it was 20 things because I wrote down 20 things, but I might have forgot something. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out some other videos on my channel. I'll leave some here and here for you to watch that maybe you haven't seen. And remember, until next time, you cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do. Bye guys.